Welcome to another edition of the Coach Alexander Show. I'm Kim Assad, Mustang mom, and your local real estate broker with Compass Real Estate. Enjoy the show. Go Mustangs!
Hello, Mustang Nation. Matt Carnes, Grapevine Booster here for week 2 of the Coach Mike Alexander Show, Team 100 season. And Coach, we had a rough one Friday night out in Abilene, but as Ricky Tejada told us about David and Goliath on Friday morning at Breakfast of Champions, I guess sometimes Goliath still wins.
Well, you know, we made the long road trip with a young, inexperienced team, and I think we're going to be better for it in the long run. You know, Cooper was a seasoned team. They nine or so players returning on both sides of the ball, and they played like it. You know, it was their home opener, and it was a lot of fanfare. They had a lot of fans there, and the atmosphere was great. I think through the first half we were made some mistakes, but we were still in the game, and then some things we did poorly in the second half were just too much to overcome. So but our team, they're resilient. They're going to grow from it, and I always think that playing a tough non-district schedule can help your football team in the long run, and so Azle's a good football team. Abilene Cooper's a very good football team, and they're going to make a playoff run, and who knows, we might be able to see them again later on, and I think our kids will be more prepared for it.
Well, before we get to the specifics of the game, we had, of course, the freshmen and the JV Blue both won. Mm-hmm. The Reds did not. Let's talk about the sub-varsities. We didn't get to cover them much last week. Let's talk about them a little bit.
Yeah, I'll start with the freshmen. We've our freshman blue team is now 2-0. Freshman red team is 1-1, and they played a really good freshman Cooper team out there. The freshman red did, and I was talking to Cooper's head coach, and he felt like that was the best freshman group that they've had in a long time at Cooper. So it was good for our kids to get on that bus and go out there, and they had plenty of chances, to win the game. It was a good, hard-fought game. They lost 21-27, but our kids are getting, they're getting better, and we're just at that point with our freshmen where we just got to continue to get a little more physical each week. The skills there, we're very talented in the skill positions. We just got to get a little tougher and a little bit more physical, and they're going to be just fine.
And then JV, the blue won and the red lost. Same situation.
Man, the red, boy, they just keep having heartbreakers. They lost 12 to 7, I think, to Cooper the other night, and that's 2 weeks in a row that they've lost a one-score game. We moved up Blake Dixon from the JV to the varsity, and he was Max Calgill's kind of security blanket in the first game. So we definitely miss Blake in that regard. Look for Blake to come back down and play on the JV again this week, and that should help things. Should help the offense get going. But we shot ourselves in the foot offensively all night. Defense, really proud of them. They fought their tails off. Gave us a chance to win the football game. So that JV group's fun. I hate that they've lost 2 really close ones, but they're gonna be fine. We have moved some kids up though from the JV to the varsity this week off the JV defense. So we'll see how that transpires. But I think it's just an opportunity for some more kids to get more playing time, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, the day started early with Ricky Tejada, one of the Breakfast of Champions speeches. I'm telling you, men, if you're not making Breakfast of Champions, you're missing out. You really need to be there. And Ricky delivered a phenomenal message. And then, of course, we get in the buses and all head west. Yeah. And then the game got started. And we talked a little bit before the show. Football can be a game of inches. And you had that very close fake punt. Stay on the field there, avoid that turnover late, go into halftime, tied, maybe down for it. It's a different ballgame.
We made an effort, or a decision, I guess, early on in that game that we came out there to win the game. We weren't gonna call the game to keep it close or try to, save face or anything. You know, we were going to go out there to win it, and so right off the bat, you know, in the first quarter we went for a 4th down around midfield. Didn't work out. We were, you know, about 6 inches short. You know, and then they were able to get on offense and go down and score. But even with all the different little mishaps we had in the first half, you know, we were still right there at 14-7 with the ball going into score right before half, before you know, they stripped it out of Jacob's hands and took it back the other way for 6. So you know, I was proud of our kids. How I don't think we were unfocused really. I think that we were really geared up for it, and I think it impaired our judgment a little bit. Our quarterback continued to, you know, he fumbled the ball again in the first quarter, which happened again last week, and so we've got to start cutting down on some of these turnovers that are happening early in the game that are hurting us. But you know, it's hard to fault the kid's effort. You know, he's out there scrambling around trying to make a play. We just got to do a better job protecting the football, and that's stuff that, you know, when you got a first-year quarterback and a young team, that they're going to learn these lessons through non-district, because that's what non-district's for. So no matter what happens this week at the Northwest game, we finish it up 2-1. We finish up 1-2. We're going to wad it up, throw it out, and start over 0-0 in 2 weeks against Creekview. So the biggest goal this week is just to improve our physicality, which I think we had a very physical practice today. So we want to improve our physicality and our execution. And if we can do those things, I think A, we'll win the football game, and B, I think it'll set us up to make a district run that we can be proud of.
Well, let's go to the game action here. We'll start with looking at the offensive highlights.
I guess this is early in the first quarter. That's just a little play action glance. We threw to Ben. We've had a lot of success with that route, and this is Austin on the deep out to the field. I think Austin was throwing it well early. Our receivers were just a little bit inconsistent at times with some drops, but then you get a look at Tejada creasing it up the middle. Offensive line did a good job at times giving Tejada some running lanes, and he can definitely make you pay. This is late in the third quarter, and our goal was to try and get it to 14, to keep it at 14 going into the fourth. We didn't quite get there. It was 35-14 going into the fourth quarter, and we just kind of ran out of steam, I guess. We lost Cade Keeling for a period of time with an injury, and that kind of set our defense back a little bit while we were trying to figure out, how to plug in and replace that. But like I said, 42-14. I think the score may be a little bit misleading, but one thing that we did learn from this game is that our physicality's got to get amped up a little bit, because for the first time probably in 4 or 5 years, I feel like we did lose the physicality battle up front.
Well, as before we go into the defense, I have a game note from the game. It just seemed like this was a game where all the breaks went just slightly against you early on. Yeah. And it just seemed like that just ultimately.
Well, I'll tell you, Matt, I used to coach out in Abilene, and it's an interesting thing. It's, for whatever reason, it's hard for a Metroplex team like Grapevine to make the trip and travel to Shotwell Stadium and come out with a W. It's a difficult thing. When I was at Abilene High in the early 2000s, we played some really good Trinity teams and some really good DeSoto teams and some really good Mansfield Summit teams, Arlington, Sam Houston. We played a lot of Metroplex teams, and they all left the stadium with an L, and none of them thought they would. So there's some factors that that play into it that's hard to put your finger on, but it's a tough place to play. Therefore, it's a great game for us to go out there and experience some adversity and fight through that stuff, because now as a team we're having to get real with ourselves about where we really are as a team, and I think we're going to be better off from it.
Well, Shotwell's such a cool environment, and you talked about the home victory for them, but so far in 4 games it's been a home win for both sides.
That's right.
So they're having the same issue on our side.
Yeah, played them 4 years, split with them, went 2-2. I guess we got one home game out of the deal and one neutral site maybe.
but it was a win.
It was a win.
It was a win. I guess that would be at Apogee Mustang Stadium. Is that what you would call
that's
that?
what we call that.
Well, let's look at the defense here. They were busy all night as well.
Yeah, they were really in some tough spots at times because of decisions I made to go for it on fourth or to onside kick. So we played on a short field a lot, and I was proud of how hard they played. I didn't think we played extremely smart at times, and I think that as the game wore on, their big physical offensive linemen started to get the better of us. But some individual efforts that were worth mentioning. Scrap had a big game. There he is with the interception. I think that Jack Turner played really well at corner. He didn't give his receivers any room to catch balls. There's Garrett Johnson had a couple big plays in the backfield. So we did have some good things. We did have some good things happen on defense. Unfortunate thing with Cade getting injured, but it allowed us to get Mason Shimkus moved back in the box and get him some exposure in there. And you never know. I mean, that might end up being a place that we use Mason down the road. So there's always some positives to a negative situation like taking a loss out in Abilene. But overall, I would say the state of the program is okay. We're not going to crumble because of one poor performance, and we're just going to have to get better and work harder this week.
Well, you had a lot of guys putting a lot of good effort in. That was a big play there by Garrett. That led to the drive that could have put you back into it, tied at halftime. Didn't work out that way. Anytime you can get a fourth down and get 22 yards on the fourth down, big help.
That was tough.
Let's talk about the DNA and the guys that got the DNA awards this week.
So starting with our compete award, that was Scrap, Blake Mazarane. Scrap's always he's always ready for a fight. He's ready to compete whenever you blow the whistle, and he showed it in this game. He was getting blocked a whole lot out of the backfield, lead blocking, and then he still found a way to make some plays there, some big plays at times. And then our fight award went to Mason Shimkus, undersized guy, but moved into the box, and it didn't seem to faze him. He made some big plays as soon as we moved him in there on some stretch plays, and he's fighting off some big guys trying to go block him. So really proud of Mason. Our attitude and the attitude award, we gave to Jack Turner was really his attitude about just being a pro. It was a tough game, and he was handling his business, but at the same time, man, he was encouraging his teammates. He was trying to keep them in the ball game, and just the whole attitude of how he approached the game from start to finish, we're real proud of. Raider Conley. And he had a tall task, had some big defensive linemen, linebackers he had to deal with, but he's the leader up front for our offensive line. He held them together, even early on we had some busts. We had some new kids playing some positions early on we were trying to get looked at, and Raider, he kind of parented them through it and got us going, and kind of he's the glue that holds that offensive line together. And then finally the tough award goes to Caleb Tejada, because man, it was kind of feast or famine really with him. He was either getting tattooed in the backfield by several guys, or he was popping it for big gains, and Caleb, if you know Ricky at all, you know what you're going to get with Caleb, and so I love that kid. I love what he's made of. I love that he's got a humble spirit, but the heart of a lion, and so he definitely got our tough award, and we're proud of Caleb for that.
Well, I owe him a fist bump because I called it in the first quarter that he was going to break one in the second quarter.
Yeah.
I even called it with his dad.
Oh yeah, there
you
go.
I called it, and so he did it. So
let's do that again this week.
Thanks, Caleb.
Let's do that again this week.
I'm okay with that.
All right.
I'm ready.
Sounds good.
Speaking of this week, it's a short week. We've got Justin Northwest Thursday night this week. Tell us what we're looking for with Justin.
Well, they put up some video game numbers last week. They lost 65-68, and they had a PAT blocked as time was expiring to tie the game. So it could have gone into overtime. It could have been more points than that. But anyway, they're a dynamic team offensively. They have a really talented inside receiver that I don't even know what his stats were. He had well over 200 yards receiving. Most of his catches were inside of 8 yards, and he just made people miss and would take them the distance. So they remind me a lot of us in some ways. I think their kids are very disciplined and will play hard throughout the entire game, and they're well coached. And so, we're excited about it. I think it's a good challenge for our defense. Excuse me. And, offensively, like I said before, we're going to get back and get back to being physical, and we're going to see if we can't, take the fight to them a little bit this week.
Well, it's going to be the opening for the Mustangs for the first time in the newly renovated Mustang Panther Stadium. Tell us about getting back in the stadium for
we're
real
excited.
life.
We're excited. I was had an interview today with a guy that's going to broadcast our game from WFAA on Thursday night, and he was asking, if we're excited about the new stadium, and I said, well, yeah, we haven't played in our stadium. We haven't had a home football game since November the 2nd, 2017. It's been a long time. And so he was trying to wrap his brain around that, and I said, yeah, we played 12 road games last year, and that's our fans, that's our parents, that's our whole community picking up and doing this 12 different times last year. So yeah, we're excited. We've been on the road for first 2 games this year. I'm glad it's on Thursday, just so it'll get here sooner, But no, we couldn't be more thrilled to finally get in the stadium.
Well, you got some other interesting things happening as part of that. Tell us about the special guest that's coming up this week.
Well, we're going to honor a couple guys. We're going to honor a couple gentlemen from one of our teams from the 50s that Russell Kids bring it back. And then we're also going to bring in the gentleman that Mr. Brewer, who scored the very first touchdown in the old Mustang Stadium. And so it'll be interesting. Hopefully we can get some pictures with whoever scores the first touchdown for the Mustangs in the new
MPS.
New MPS with the first guy that scored in the last one. So that'll be an exciting time. It'll be interesting to see who it is. But we're excited about it.
Now, you have a tradition. Mustangs have a tradition unlike any other where the team comes in, walks through the stands. Tell us what it's going to be like in new MPS.
Yeah, so get there early, by the way, because we're going to leave the locker room at 6:50, and we're going to enter the stadium at the north concession area. So we'll enter the stadium at the north concession area. We'll walk in front of the concessions, down the lower concourse, all the way to the end of the stadium, and then back down onto the track, and then we'll jog it back down to the BAM.
Okay.
So we'll walk the whole concourse. I'm going to go on record saying that wasn't my idea. That was the kids' idea. I was okay with them going in the concession and coming right back down to the field, but they weren't having it. They want to walk the whole concourse, so I told them, you got one shot. Let's see how it goes. You walk the whole concourse. If it takes more than 10 minutes, we're going to get a different route,
Well, I'm with them. I still think that was one of the coolest things. I hope it works out. Tell them to walk fast, because I think it's something that they need to do. So message there, get there early. Game starts at 7. They'll be walking through the stadium at 6:50, so be there. Men of the community, dads, make sure you're there. 7 o'clock for Breakfast of Champions. Get there early. It's awesome. I don't know who the speaker is this week. You'll have to come find out. But I'll promise you it'll be worth it, be well worth your time. And we will see you there. I want to say thanks to all the sponsors who helped make this show happen, make Team 100 so special. Thanks to the parents, the coaches, and everybody who brings all this. Special thanks to Kim Assad for sponsoring the show again. And special thanks to Fred Ertz and all the journalism kids for helping bring the show together. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for watching the Coach Alexander Show. For all your real estate needs, you can visit me at compass.com. Go Mustangs!